On the news, President Buhari meets service chief, says train attack matter of great concern. Tinubu cancels colloquium in honor of Kaduna train attack victims. And President Buhari declares open the second National Tax Dialogue Week, harps on efficient tax regime. We're glad to have you join us on News Now. I am Folashade Ogurinde. President Muhammadu Buhari has met with the service chiefs over the attack on the Kaduna-bound train on Monday night. In a statement, Garba Shehu, the senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, said Buhari directed the Nigerian Railway Corporation (NRC) to speedily repair the damaged lines and resume normal service without delay. The president also reiterated the call for the armed forces to deal ruthlessly with terrorists, urging them not to spare anyone unlawfully wielding the AK-47 weapon. The Kaduna-bound train derailed after explosives believed to be planted on the rail track went off close to Rigasa area of the state. Several persons are believed to have been killed and abducted during the attack. Some victims of Monday's attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train have been admitted to the 44 Military Hospital and St. Gerald Hospital in Kaduna State. The Kaduna State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, was accompanied by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, as well as heads of security agencies stationed in the state, visited some of the victims receiving treatment at the hospitals. While it is not yet clear how many persons were injured, at least 7 persons have been confirmed dead and many are believed to have been abducted by the terrorists who attacked the train. In a related development, the Inspector General of Police Usman Alkali Baba, the Chief of Defence Staff General Lucky Irabo, and top officials of the Nigerian Railway Corporation have visited the site of the terrorist attack on a train along the Abuja-Kaduna Railway. The two service chiefs were received by the General Officer Commanding 1 Mechanized Division of the Nigerian Army along the Kaduna-Abuja Highway. From there, they proceeded to the scene of the attack located about 3 kilometers away from the expressway. Speaking to newsmen, the Chief of Defence Staff, General Lucky Irabo, said the military will dispense all resources to ensure that the culprits are not only caught but brought to face the wrath of the law.
But I'd like to assure you that those behind it will not go unpunished. Currently, the men are on their chairs and they will certainly pay the price. But it's a bad one, and we'll do everything possible to liaise with the necessary authorities for them to restore the services, repair the parts that need to be repaired, and then, of course, for the train service to continue. Given the geography of what you just said, that it must have been something that was timed, that was deliberate. But then, of course, we will build on this knowledge and then to be able to go after them. What I like to assure Nigerians is that those who indeed were responsible for this dastardly act will be punished and they will be brought to justice.
Meanwhile, the senators called on the Army and Air Force to, as a matter of urgency, bombard terrorist enclaves with a view to restoring peace and stability in the country. The upper chamber also called on President Muhammadu Buhari to declare full-scale war against terrorists so as to secure Nigeria's territory. Our correspondent Simisola Adigun tells us more in this report.
The recent terrorist attack on a Kaduna-bound train formed part of matters discussed at plenary on Tuesday. The incident happened around 7:45 p.m. at Dutse village in Chinkun local government area, just a few kilometers from the Rigasa train station, which is the last transit point of the train. Senator Obasani, in his presentation at plenary, bemoaned the train attack said to be carrying over 970 passengers. He called for swift action against the terrorists while urging security operatives to re-strategize.
It is disheartening that these enemies of the people are getting emboldened by the day. They are becoming more brazen. These blood-curdling bonfires have no regard for human life. They have no place in civilized society. Note also that unrelenting attacks call to question the strategies and tactics being adopted by security forces. We expected that with the declaration of the bandits as terrorists by a court of competent jurisdictions, they will be degraded in no time. This appears not to be happening. The security forces must reassess their strategies and come up with workable and effective solutions to the menace.
A cross-section of lawmakers who lamented that Kaduna had become the latest hotspot of insecurity concluded that terrorists have declared war against Nigerians, and it is time for Nigeria to declare war against the terrorists.
Discussions on the security of our country has taken a large chunk of our discussion here. And I believe and feel that it is time enough for the appropriate authorities to have taken decisive actions to address the security in our country. Mr. President, Kaduna has become the new theater. And Kaduna is where the highest military institutions are housed.
We shouldn't allow this situation to continue, where we lay back, they come to attack, then we repel, we try to do damage control and the like. I think it is time for these terrorists to be seriously taken as a national security threat, and we should declare a war against them forthwith.
Kaduna town and Kaduna state as a whole, no day they don't kill over 300 in a day. Every blessed day, no day that they don't kill souls, more than 300.
The Senate also urged the Army and the Air Force to carry out sustained bombardment of terrorist enclaves with a view to flushing them out and restoring peace and stability in all communities. Simisola Digun, TV360 News.
The former governor of Lagos State, Bola Tinubu, was cancelled the 13th edition of his annual colloquium as mark of respect for those that died in an attack on the Kaduna-bound train. Tinubu, a presidential aspirant in the All Progressives Congress (APC), said the event could not continue in the wake of the attack on the train heading to Kaduna State from Abuja. The colloquium was built to examine emerging global development issues and the importance of good governance for Nigeria to be an influential and respected member of the international community. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari was listed as the chairman of the occasion.
I've just been informed of a very sad incident in our country. Very sad indeed that over 60 people and many more were killed and bombed on the train during Kaduna and Abuja just last night. That is a very serious incident about the security of life in this country. I will urge the two clients who are here present to continue to pray, and every one of you to go home and pray. This event should not be holding.
Nigeria's current tax system has been described as highly fragmented and inefficient. President Muhammadu Buhari made this known while declaring open the second National Tax Dialogue Week on Tuesday, while urging a harmonized one within a single system to boost revenue generation. The president reiterated his regime's commitment to an efficient tax administration in order to improve tax revenue in the country. He proposed improved tax revenue for the country, which will not necessarily impose new tax rates on Nigerians.
One key deliverable of this year's tax dialogue is to promote synergy in tax administration among the different tiers of government. Harmonizing taxpayer identification across the country is a good start, but we must do more to promote ease of doing business, including ease of tax compliance in Nigeria. On our part, we have started by clarifying in the 2021 Finance Act that Federal Land Revenue Service is the sole authority to administer tax for the federal government. This clarification became necessary in order to avoid taxpayers burdened with multiple tax compliance obligations towards different agencies of the same government. Multiplicity of tax administration is as undesirable as multiplicity of taxes. It creates uncertainty and instability, and above all, it is inefficient.
A coalition of civil society groups under the aegis of Nigerian Human Rights Community has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to implement and recognize 10 electoral wards in Warri South local government area as directed by a court judgment in 2019. In a press briefing in Lagos on Tuesday, the group accused INEC of mischievously merging some of the wards dominated by Itsekiri indigenous communities and dividing those of the non-Itsekiri to give undue political advantage over the Itsekiri people. The group explained that inclusion has been fought for many years, culminating in a court judgment of which is yet to be implemented by the Electoral Commission.
The court agreed that INEC had no right and cannot redelineate the wards of the Warri South local government of Delta State, the said Warri South local government having been in existence as a local government area upon its creation in 1991, prior to the recent new local government areas creation exercise of the federal military government, and having been unaffected in any manner whatsoever by the said recent creation of local government exercise. We call on INEC to reverse to the 10-ward structure in Warri South local government area of Delta State of Nigeria, and accordingly align all materials to be printed and produced for the 2023 general elections with the said court judgment, as was recently done in the cases of Imo, Bayelsa, Zamfara, and Bauchi states. INEC is expected to be most profound signpost of rule of law and respect for court decisions. We call on INEC to carry out the implementation of this order immediately.
They cannot be cheating us at all time. And you can see we play a very vital role in Delta State. The 3 local government are the oil producing local government in Delta State. And the 3 local government brings a lot of income, a lot of money to the state. So I think we deserve better than that we are being treated now. So they need to hear our voice, because if we don't come out the street to speak, they would not listen.
The Director General of the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies, Abubakar Sulaiman, has said the new Electoral Act will go a long way to ensure that only credible people of substance and quality come into the legislature. Speaking to journalists on the sideline of a 2-day capacity building workshop for non-academic staff of the Legislative Institute, Sulaiman expressed strong optimism that the new Electoral Act will bring about changes that should drastically reduce the challenge of high turnover of lawmakers.
In terms of quality of people that comes into the legislature, in terms of substance of debate, in terms of quality of the process itself that usher them in. And if we could achieve that by having an electoral act with a lot of beauty provisions, initially we thought Mr. President would not even assent to it, but it was assented. What we are expressing today is another training workshop for our non-academic staff. And I keep saying, and I want to emphasize again, that is the first of its kind in the history of the Institute. We want to sustain this vision. We want to sustain this idea. We want to make sure that our staff are well trained. We want to ensure that our staff are well, exposed to global practices in the various mandates they have been asked by the acts that established the Institute.
We, as an international German organization, provide capacity building not only to legislators, but also to NIELS as the research institute, helping legislators to fill their various mandates.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, Nigeria's domestic debt service gobs 2.1 trillion naira in 2021. Details of the story and more right after this break. Welcome back. Now here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. President Muhammadu Buhari has met with the service chiefs over the attack on a Kaduna-bound train on Monday night. The president also reiterated the call for the armed forces to deal ruthlessly with terrorists, urging them not to spare anyone unlawfully wielding the AK-47 weapon. We also told you that the former governor of Lagos State, Bola Tinubu, has cancelled its 13th edition of its annual colloquium as mark of respect for those that died in an attack on a Kaduna-bound train. Tinubu, a presidential aspirant in the All Progressives Congress, APC, said the event could not continue in the wake of the attack on a train heading to Kaduna State from Abuja. But in case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. Nigeria has reported an additional 45 cases of COVID-19, raising the country's infection tally to 255,341. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, in its update for March the 28th, 2022, disclosed that the new cases were logged in 5 states and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT. Lagos topped the list with 27 cases, followed by FCT and Rivers with 10 and 3 cases respectively. The agency also said 71 persons were discharged after they recovered from the infection. Meanwhile, no death was reported, leaving the total fatality figure at 3,142. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has clarified that he did not agree with a planned intellectual property waiver for COVID-19 vaccines, as patents are a crucial way of encouraging companies to continue pushing ahead with new research. He argued that a better way of making vaccines accessible in emerging economies would be to transfer vaccine production facilities to Africa. The waiver drafted by the United States, European Union, India and South Africa earlier in March would need formal approval from the WTO's 164 member countries, including Germany, before being adopted. The potential waiver deal followed months of negotiations over how to accelerate COVID-19 vaccine production in developing countries where vaccination rates have lagged wealthy countries. Well, we'll take a break here and return with more stories and business. To stay with us.
In the last 3 years, we have built a multi-purpose center, which is the envy of all in our constituency. And I can tell you that the people who are living there are already enjoying it.
Guy, do you think what this man just said is true? See, I seriously doubt. I'm sure it's one of those their silly lies.
Wait, do you know there's a way to find out if these things he's saying is true or not? This is the Construct app. It gives people like us a sure way to track implementation of constituency projects. It gives valid and verified information on location of projects, amounts allocated, amount funded, the level of job done, and even the profiles of concerned legislators. You and I can post directly on this app.
Are you serious?
This is the Go-To app if you want to know how our Commonwealth is being expanded by the government.
Wow. Let's even see if what this man said is true. Show me.
The Construct app is developed by Other People Nigeria with support from USAID and is available on both Google Play Store and Apple Store.
And it's true.
Of course, I told you.
Welcome back. Well, Simi Saladigun joins us now for more stories and business. Over to you, Simi.
Thank you, Folashade. Welcome to business. Latest data issued by the Debt Management Office indicates that Nigeria spent a sum of 2.05 trillion naira to service its domestic debt in the year 2021. This figure represents an increase of 10.8% compared to the 1.85 trillion naira incurred in the previous year. A closer look at the data shows that a sum of 1.66 trillion naira was paid as interest on federal government bonds, which accounted for 80.8% of the total amount incurred on domestic debt service. The data released by the DMO shows that the amount spent on servicing domestic debt in 2021 is the highest on record. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) has said rising shipping costs as a result of the ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine may worsen inflation in Nigeria and other nations in the world. The Washington-based lender in a report added that the cost of shipping a container on the world's transoceanic trade routes had increased sevenfold in the 18 months of the year. The IMF added that increases in inflation are likely to be witnessed in countries that import more of what they consume. We'll take a short break and be back with Stock Market Report. The Nigerian equities market closed on a negative note with a depreciation of 0.11% and investors lost 27.36 billion naira. The all-share index paired at 46,843 basis points, while capitalization stands at 25.3 trillion naira. 107 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 16 gainers against 18 losers. PZ Cussons Nigeria led the equities, followed by Japo Gold with a combined 11 naira 54 kobo gain. On the flip side, International Breweries and Veritas Capital Assurance came out last, ending with a combined 4 naira 71 kobo. At the close of Tuesday's trading, a total of 240 million volume of shares valued at 1.790 billion naira traded in 4,125 deals. Global stocks rose on Tuesday, putting the major averages on track to build on the previous session's gains as traders monitored ceasefire negotiations between Russia and Ukraine. Our select global stocks, UK's FTSE and US Dow Jones, got a boost from consumer staples and financial stocks as investors hoped for progress in Russia and Ukraine peace stocks. Both stocks ended in the positive territory at 0.86% and 0.56%. Japan shares Nikkei led gains among major Asia-Pacific markets as investors monitored oil prices and continued to assess the outlook for U.S. Federal Reserve monetary policy. It rose 1.10% to hit a new one-month high. That's all on Stock Market Report. Back to you, Folashade.
Well, many thanks, Simi. And on the foreign scene, Russia said on Monday it was preparing to restrict entry into Russia for nationals of unfriendly countries, which include Britain, all EU states and the United States. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, in a televised statement, said a draft presidential decree is being developed on retaliatory visa measures in response to the unfriendly actions of a number of foreign states. Russia's recent move comes after the West piled unprecedented sanctions on Moscow following Russian President Vladimir Putin's decision to send troops to pro-Western Ukraine. Well, up next is Entertainment Reporter News Now.
The domestic violence suits filed against Nigerian music star Sonny Goriola, also known as Lil Frosh, by his girlfriend Okeogene Gift has been withdrawn. In a post shared via Instagram stories, Gift revealed that she has dropped the suit against the rapper. The rapper also took to his Instagram page where he shared a letter from his lawyer notifying everyone that the matter has been reconciled. It's to be recalled that the rapper was called out by his girlfriend's manager and brother Michael back in 2020 for assaulting his sister. Following the allegation leveled against him, his now former record label DMW terminated his contract. The rapper was later remanded at the Ikoyi prison by the Lagos State Magistrates Court in Yaba. American actor and comedian Anthony Anderson and his wife Alvina Stewart have filed for a divorce after 22 years of marriage. Stewart filed for divorce in Los Angeles County Court, citing irreconcilable differences as the reason for their breakup. She also requested spousal support from the 51-year-old actor. Meanwhile, this is not the first time she'll be filing for a divorce. Stewart first filed for divorce in 2015, then she dismissed the petition and got back with Anderson. Crisis started rocking the marriage again in 2018 after Anderson was accused of eating a woman. And that is all that we have for you on the entertainment segment of News Now.
Away from entertainment, now to sport. The Super Eagles of Nigeria and the Black Stars of Ghana are currently slugging it out at the return leg of their 2022 FIFA World Cup playoff at the Moshood Abiola Stadium in Abuja. Augustine Eguavoin, Super Eagles coach, is said to have made 5 changes for the much-anticipated second leg clash against Ghana. In the attack, Victor Osimhen will lead from the center with Adesina Lookman, who will replace Samuel Chukwueze and Emmanuel Dennis to support him from both flanks. Oganekaro Etebo is expected to take Moses Simons's place in the middle, while Francis Uzoho will maintain his position between the two sticks. Joining me to discuss this further is Jide Olaniro. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, Jide, please tell us, how would you assess Nigeria's game so far?
Well, thank you very much. So far, so good. Nigeria got an early shock by the goal scored by their midfielder, who coincidentally is also the captain of the side of the Black Stars. They drew the first blood by scoring first, and the captain of the Super Eagles also equalized, making it 1-1. But from the look of things, it appears that the Black Stars are not here for a joke. They are throwing in everything into this game, and as it is right now, if it ends this way, that means that it's the Black Stars of Ghana that will be going to the World Cup. But they still have a lot of time to play for. Talking about from the perspective of the Super Eagles right now. And if you look at the people around, people also are getting apprehensive because everybody wants to see the Super Eagles at the World Cup.
Now, Judy, I can see some fans watching the game. Could you tell us what the mood is like there?
Well, it's the fans also are rooting for the Super Eagles. They want to see the Super Eagles deliver the World Cup ticket at home. And you know that the World Cup is the biggest stage. The fans want to sit in front of their TV sets in November, December to watch the Super Eagles fly or hoist the flag of Nigeria at Qatar 2022. So far so good. They are apprehensive. I know why they are feeling that way, because the Nigerians love their football and they want to be at the World Cup. But I hope that the Super Eagles will live up to expectation. Although they are coming into this game having gone behind by a lone goal, but I believe that they can still come back to win today's game.
Well, we're certainly rooting for the Super Eagles, but many thanks, sports correspondent Jide Olaniro. Thank you so much for your contribution. And that's the size of our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I'm Folashade Ogurinde. Bye for now.